The night was quiet in Manhattan, but inside the Reynolds Grand Hotel, tension hummed beneath the chandeliers. Ethan Reynolds, 38 billionaire, hotel magnate, and owner of the city's most prestigious five-star establishment, stood behind a half-closed door, wearing the kind of suit that screamed control. Yet tonight he wasn't the powerful CEO. He was a ghost, hiding in plain sight, breathing through his nerves like a man about to confront something he didn't fully understand. For months, small inconsistencies had haunted him: missing towels, inflated invoices, stolen wine. His manager, Daniel Cooper, had brushed it all off, claiming it was nothing. But Ethan didn't build an empire by trusting people's reassurances. So he did what no one expected. He checked into his own hotel under a fake name, Ethan Grant, a businessman from Boston. He wanted to see his creation through the eyes of an ordinary guest without the weight of his title. The first few days confirmed his suspicions. Bartenders poured lighter drinks when no one was watching, waiters pocketed extra tips, and the concierge double-charged tourists. But these were small betrayals, frustrating, not devastating. What really mattered, Ethan thought, was the honesty of the housekeeping staff. They were the quiet observers of everything, the invisible eyes behind every luxury suite. That's when he noticed her. Grace Miller, 26, new hire. Blue uniform, brown hair tied neatly back, eyes that spoke of quiet exhaustion. She moved through the hallways with precision and purpose, her hands trembling slightly when she thought no one was watching. Ethan found himself following her shifts, not out of attraction, but curiosity. There was something fragile yet unyielding about her, a woman who worked as if the world depended on it. One morning he decided to test her. He left his suite, a deliberate mess, $50 on the nightstand, a gold watch beside the sink, and a diamond bracelet lying carelessly across the bed. Perfect bait. Then he waited just outside the door, hidden in the shadow of the corridor. 10 minutes later, Grace appeared with her cleaning cart, knocked 3 times, and gently stepped inside. Ethan watched through the crack of the door, his heartbeat steady, but his mind sharp, analyzing every move. She didn't steal a thing. Grace picked up the watch, wiped beneath it, and placed it back exactly where it had been. She folded the bracelet carefully as if afraid to harm it, and even straightened the bills on the nightstand. Her focus never wavered. Ethan almost smiled, a rare twitch at the corner of his lips. For once, something in his empire seemed incorruptible. Then the phone rang. Grace froze. The sound sliced through the calm like glass breaking. She hesitated before answering, glancing around as if someone might be watching. Her voice when she spoke was not the voice of a professional employee. It was raw, trembling, almost childlike. "Hello, yes. This is Grace Miller." A pause. Silence heavy as thunderclouds. Her body stiffened. The hand holding the phone began to shake uncontrollably. Ethan leaned closer, every instinct telling him to retreat, but unable to look away. What she whispered. "No. No, please. Not again. He was fine yesterday." She sank onto the bed, her free hand covering her mouth to muffle the sob that broke out anyway. Ethan's chest tightened. He shouldn't be there. He knew it, but something deeper kept his feet rooted to the floor. "Yes, I understand," Grace continued through trembling breaths. "I'll come right away. Just, please do whatever you have to. Don't wait for me. I'll find the money somehow." Money? Ethan heard that word like a pin drop in a silent cathedral. She ended the call and sat perfectly still for several seconds before wiping her face violently, almost angrily, and standing up again. Her movements turned robotic, finishing the cleaning, folding towels, aligning pillows, while silent tears streaked down her face. She placed the $50 back exactly where it was and whispered to herself, "Hold it together, Grace. Just hold it together." Ethan pressed his back against the wall, feeling something inside him twist. He had come to catch a thief, and instead found a woman breaking apart in silence. Later that evening, back in his hidden suite, Ethan called Daniel. "Get me everything on Grace Miller," he ordered. Daniel hesitated. "She's new. Hired last week. Good references, spotless record. Single mother. That's all I've got." "Single mother," Ethan repeated quietly. "What happened to the father?" "Walked out, I think. Her son's sick, but I don't know the details." Ethan hung up without replying. He sat there for a long while, staring at the untouched money on his nightstand. $50, nothing to him. But to her, it might have been the difference between dinner and an empty stomach, and yet she hadn't touched it. Not a cent. That night he couldn't sleep. He typed her name into a search bar, digging until he found something, an old fundraising page. Help Noah Miller, age 7, fight for his life. He scrolled down, reading through the words that hit like bricks to the chest. Noah had been born with a rare heart and lung condition. His mother, Grace, had been fighting for years to keep him alive, working 2 jobs, selling everything, begging hospitals to move him up the waiting list. The surgery cost $60,000. The donations so far, $400. Ethan sat back, the glow of his laptop casting shadows across his face. He had spent twice that amount on a chandelier last month. The next morning, he couldn't look at the hotel the same way. The marble floors and gold-plated elevators felt cold, meaningless. Everywhere he turned, he saw Grace's tired face, her shaking hands. By the time the sun set again, a decision had formed in his mind, a decision he didn't fully understand yet, only that it was pulling him somewhere human, somewhere unfamiliar. He would find a way to save that child. But he couldn't just hand her the money. Grace had dignity. He saw it in the way she folded sheets as if they were made of silk. If he gave her a check, she'd refuse it. She'd feel pitied small. He had to be smarter. Ethan Reynolds, the calculating businessman, was about to gamble with something far greater than money, a stranger's trust. He poured himself a glass of bourbon, stared at his reflection in the window overlooking Central Park, and muttered under his breath, "You wanted to find the dishonest ones, Ethan. Looks like you found the only honest soul left in this place." He didn't know yet how to do it, but one thing was certain. He wasn't going to let a 7-year-old die while he stood by doing nothing. And for the first time in years, the man who thought he'd seen it all felt his heart race, not from power, but from purpose. If you were in Ethan's place that night, would you have stepped out and revealed yourself to Grace? The following morning, the city woke beneath a veil of cold mist. Ethan arrived at the Reynolds Grand early, his mind already set on a plan that made no sense from a business perspective, but felt right in a way nothing had for years. He had spent the night sketching it out on hotel stationery, a contest, an employee excellence initiative. The winner would receive $50,000, enough to pay for Noah's surgery without Grace ever realizing where the money truly came from. It would seem fair, earned, and she'd keep her pride. He summoned Daniel Cooper to his office. "We're launching a new program for the staff," Ethan said, sliding a sheet of paper across the desk. "I want it announced today. The employee who earns the most positive guest reviews over the next month gets the reward. No exceptions." Daniel blinked, confused. "That's a huge bonus, sir." "For housekeeping," Ethan's tone sharpened. "For whoever earns it. Make sure Grace Miller is assigned to the rooms of our most high-profile guests." Daniel hesitated, clearly sensing something personal behind the order, but he didn't dare ask. Within hours, the competition was announced. The staff buzzed with excitement. Whispers floated through the hallways. Grace smiled faintly when she heard, as if for the first time in months, hope flickered behind her tired eyes. She needed the money badly, but she told herself she wouldn't dream too big. People like her didn't win prizes in places like this. Over the next week, Ethan watched her from a careful distance. She came in early, left late, worked silently with a kind of reverence that made even the richest guests notice. Each morning, he left thoughtful notes on review cards signed with fake names. "Impeccable service, kindest staff member I've ever met, a heart of gold." At night, he wondered whether he was doing the right thing. Then one afternoon, while waiting for the elevator, he overheard her again. Grace was in the hallway, phone pressed to her ear, voice low but shaking. "Please just tell me he's breathing better today. Yes, I'll be there after my shift. No, I can't afford another day off. Please don't tell the doctor." Ethan turned away, jaw tight. His plan suddenly felt cruel. Waiting a month might be too long. That night, he called a friend, one of the best pediatric surgeons in the country. He didn't use Grace's name, just described the symptoms. The doctor sighed on the line. "If this child doesn't get surgery within the next 3 weeks, he won't make it." 3 weeks. Ethan couldn't breathe for a moment. He had been so focused on making it all seem fair, honorable, that he had forgotten time was running out. The next morning, he tore up the contest plan. Enough of pretending, enough of pride. He needed to help her now. But he couldn't simply walk up to Grace Miller and hand her a check. She would never accept it. He needed another way, something that would help her, while letting her believe she'd earned it. By noon, he had made another decision. He called Daniel back to his office. "I need you to send Grace Miller here," he said. Daniel's eyebrows shot up. Now. Ethan's tone left no room for argument. Grace arrived 20 minutes later, her uniform immaculate, her expression tense. She stepped into the office as if walking into a courtroom. "Mr. Cooper said you wanted to see me, sir." Her voice was careful, polite, but her eyes betrayed fear. Ethan gestured toward the chair opposite his desk. "Please sit down." She perched on the edge, hands clasped tightly in her lap, waiting for whatever judgment was coming. He took a breath. "Grace," he began softly, "I'm not who you think I am. My name isn't Ethan Grant, it's Ethan Reynolds. I own this hotel." The silence that followed was heavy. She blinked, confusion flashing across her face before panic took over. "Oh God," she whispered. I didn't do anything wrong, sir. I swear I—" He raised a hand gently. "You didn't. In fact, it's the opposite." He told her everything, how he had gone undercover to observe the staff, how he had tested her, how she had passed with honesty and grace when others had failed. Her shoulders trembled as he spoke. "You left money out on purpose?" she asked quietly. "Yes," he admitted. "And you didn't touch it, even when you could have." Tears gathered in her eyes. "I wasn't raised to take what isn't mine," she said almost in a whisper. He nodded, feeling a strange lump form in his throat. "I know about your son," he continued carefully. "I overheard your call the other day." Grace's face crumpled. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. "Please don't fire me. I swear I never let it affect my work. I needed this job so badly." "I'm not firing you," Ethan said. "I want to help." She froze, staring at him as if the words didn't make sense. "Help," he explained about a special fund he was establishing for employees facing personal crises. "It's part of a new initiative," he said. "The company will pay for the full cost of Noah's surgery. You won't owe us a cent. When you're ready to return, I want you to come back as head supervisor of housekeeping. You've earned it, Grace." Her hand flew to her chest. Why would you do that for me? You don't even know me." Ethan looked down for a moment, his voice quieter than before. "Because for too long I've measured success in numbers and walls made of glass and gold. Watching you fight every day for your child reminded me what real worth looks like. You've given more of yourself than anyone here ever will." She started to cry, the kind of sob that breaks years of silence. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to," he said gently. "Just be there for your son. That's enough." He stood and walked around the desk, hesitating only a moment before resting a hand on her shoulder. She looked up, tears streaking her cheeks, and for the first time since he'd met her, she didn't look tired. She looked alive. "Schedule the surgery," he said quietly. "Everything's already arranged. Dr. Andrews at St. Luke's will take Noah's case personally." Her breath caught. "You already called them," he nodded. "Your son's operation is scheduled for Monday morning." Grace stood abruptly, hands shaking. She didn't finish. She just stepped forward and hugged him, a desperate, grateful embrace that took him completely off guard. After a moment's hesitation, he returned it, feeling something break open in his chest. That night, Ethan didn't return to his penthouse. He stayed in the quiet hotel suite where everything had started, looking out at the city lights. For the first time in his adult life, he wasn't thinking about profits or expansion or competition. He was thinking about a woman's trembling hands and a little boy he had never met, who now had a chance to live. He had always believed compassion made people weak. Now he wasn't so sure. The morning of the surgery arrived under a sky the color of ash. Ethan sat in the waiting room of St. Luke's Medical Center, staring at the double doors that led to the operating room. Grace was beside him, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles had gone white. For the first time, Ethan wasn't thinking about stock prices or hotel expansion. He was thinking about a 7-year-old boy lying on a table somewhere beyond those sterile doors, fighting for breath. When the surgeon, Dr. Andrews, finally appeared, his mask pulled down and exhaustion lining his eyes, Grace shot to her feet. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then the doctor smiled. "He made it," he said simply. "The surgery was a success." Grace collapsed into Ethan's arms, sobbing into his suit jacket. He didn't care about the tears or the people watching. All he felt was relief so sharp it almost hurt. Over the next few weeks, Ethan visited Noah constantly. At first, he told himself it was just to make sure everything had gone smoothly, but the truth was different. He liked being there. He liked hearing Noah's soft laugh when Grace read to him, seeing the spark of mischief in those fragile eyes. The boy reminded him of something he had forgotten, how it felt to care about someone without expecting anything back. Grace's gratitude was quiet but constant. She never acted like he was a savior, and that made Ethan respect her even more. When Noah was finally discharged, Ethan made sure they returned home to an apartment he'd quietly arranged to have renovated, fresh paint, new furniture, and a kitchen stocked with food. Grace cried again, this time out of disbelief, but he told her she deserved it. 3 months later, she returned to the Reynolds Grand Hotel, not as a housekeeper, but as the new housekeeping supervisor. Her salary tripled, and her confidence grew each day. Guests spoke of her kindness, her patience, the way she treated even the smallest task with pride. Ethan noticed something too when she walked through the halls. Now the staff stood a little straighter. She was no longer invisible. As for Ethan, something in him had shifted forever. He no longer felt the rush he once did from closing deals or buying another property. What gave him peace now were the quiet moments, watching Noah chase pigeons in Central Park or seeing Grace smile when she thought no one was looking. He found himself looking forward to their dinners, to the sound of laughter filling the space of his apartment, once so painfully empty. A year passed, and one evening he invited them both to his home for dinner. He cooked himself paella the way his mother used to make it before she died. They ate together, the city lights glowing through the glass windows. And after Noah fell asleep on the couch, Grace turned to him. "You've changed," she said softly. "You used to look lonely." He smiled faintly. "Maybe I was." "Why did you really do it, Ethan?" "All of it." He paused, searching for words. "Because you reminded me what kind of man I wanted to be before I became who I had to be." She didn't reply. She didn't need to. Her eyes said she understood. Over the next few years, the change inside Ethan spread outward. He expanded the company's employee fund, naming it quietly in his mind the Noah Initiative. It covered medical emergencies, education, family support, no questions asked. He never announced it to the press, never used it for image. Within 5 years, it had helped more than 50 employees across the country. Grace rose through the ranks until she became director of hotel operations, the highest position after Ethan himself. Noah grew into a bright, healthy teenager who sometimes worked weekends at the hotel greeting guests with a charm that reminded Ethan painfully of the child's mother. When asked what he wanted to be when he grew up, Noah always said, "A doctor so I can help kids like me." The day Grace got married, Ethan walked her down the aisle. She had met a kind-hearted doctor during Noah's checkups, a man who adored her and treated Noah like his own. As she reached the altar, she looked back at Ethan with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." He shook his head. "No, Grace. Thank you for reminding me that success without compassion means nothing." Years later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Ethan sat at his breakfast table, scrolling through his phone. His wallpaper wasn't a company logo or an investment report anymore. It was a photo of him, Grace, and Noah at a picnic in Central Park, laughing, sunlight spilling across their faces. He caught himself smiling. Every now and then, he still walked the halls of the Reynolds Grand Hotel, watching the staff at work. He'd stop when he saw a young housekeeper cleaning a room the same way Grace once had. Sometimes he'd slip an envelope under their cart, a small bonus, a note of encouragement. No one ever knew where it came from. He didn't need them to. It wasn't about recognition. It was about remembering the moment everything had changed. One trembling phone call, one honest woman, one child who refused to stop fighting for life. And as the years went on, Ethan Reynolds, once known as the coldest man in New York's hotel industry, became known for something entirely different. His hotels weren't just luxurious, they were humane. Every employee knew that if life ever knocked them down, someone would be there to help them stand again. The Reynolds Grand wasn't just a business anymore, it was a family. Sometimes at night, Ethan still heard Grace's voice echo in his mind. "You've changed." He'd smile to himself and whisper, "You were right." If you were watching this story unfold, would you believe that one act of kindness can truly transform a person? If you think Ethan found something greater than wealth, comment 100 below to let us know. Tell us what country you're watching from, and if this story touched your heart, share it, so more people remember that kindness still matters in this world.